Yeah, sure. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, just talk to me about, now you have a date, now you have an opponent, just the excitement you guys are feeling right now, ready to get the ball rolling on this.
Yeah, really excited. I said in the press release, it's even more special to do it at home in front of a good amount of fans that we'll hopefully have in the stadium, and to represent El Paso again this year is important to us after a good season last year. So yeah, we're just generally excited just to get back out on the field and play some soccer again.
Hey, Coach, this is Brett. You got your first three at home. How important is it with that kind of a schedule this short to get off to a really good start?
Yeah, I think whether they were home or away, with just a shorter kind of 15-game stretch to start hard, to get some momentum early is probably going to be important. Because that momentum could carry you through the whole season, really, with it being a shortened format. So yeah, we want to start well. Obviously, being at home, we're happy with that. Having some fans in there, that's going to help us as well. The energy should be good. The excitement should be good. And I think everyone will have a lot of enthusiasm for the game. So yeah, I think starting off well, getting some points on the board early will be good for the final standings.
Coach, to follow up on that, to have the first three games kind of at home, especially with the climate and you guys having to travel, that also kind of something that your players as well as yourself can kind of sit back and kind of exhale a little bit, that, hey, we don't have to go anywhere for, almost a month, it seemed like.
Yeah, because it's going to be difficult with fitness levels, and when you throw travel into that as well, it does complicate things even further. So to not have the travel, to be able to get 3 games pretty quickly under our belts, to get guys the match fitness they need to build up their minutes is going to be important without, like I said, having to worry about traveling here, there, and everywhere, and that will affect recovery levels. That could affect injuries and hurt us even more. So we want to get through those 3 games with some points. We want to get through those 3 games, keeping everybody healthy. And coming out of those 3 games, we should be in a good spot fitness-wise, but kind of back to slightly a more normal level of match fitness after those 3 games.
Hey, Coach, Andy here from the Hero Post. How excited are you guys that soccer is now pretty much the main sport at this current time? You guys got the main stage. Compared, you don't have to compete with baseball or anything else. How exciting is that for you guys?
Well, I think it's exciting, the fact that that's what we're going to get to do, but I don't like that it's at the fact of, or that the cost of the Chihuahuas not having a season. That's obviously not what we wanted to see happen, but that's of course not a decision that we made. Having said that, we're excited to be the only gig in town for a couple months, and we certainly think that this will deepen the fan base that we already have, and we're hopeful that we can attract quite a few new fans that are looking for live local sports, and whether they're in the stadium or they're watching on the various different outlets, we think this is a great opportunity to grow our fan base here locally in the Borderflex region, from Las Cruces into Juarez and certainly El Paso, that will gain plenty of fans, and that's really the efforts that we're looking to diversify and get some new blood going to join our already rapid fan base.
Do you want me to add?
Oh, go ahead.
Do you need me to add to that, or is that okay?
Yeah, I mean, Mark, go ahead if you've got something.
No, I don't need to add to it. No.
Oh no, okay. Yeah, Brett, what you got, Brett?
Yeah, for both of you, I guess starting with Coach, this is going to be the first time you're playing in a full-time soccer facility. Is that are you going to be able to have more practices there? Do you want to have more practice at Southwest University Park? And is the field going to be better when they're not having to tear out the infield and replace the sod game to game?
I don't think it'll make much of a difference from a playing surface standpoint. The grounds crew here always did a phenomenal job to turn the field around between sports last season. So I don't see it being much of a difference this year in terms of it being better. I don't think we'll practice out here more than we did last year. We usually practice, on the Friday before the game, just to get some familiarity the day before. But we have a good practice facility over here on the west side that we're comfortable at. So I don't think changing the practice facility too much really helps us, even though we have the availability to do it here. But we also need to be cautious of keeping this field in pristine condition as much as possible. So I think they did a great job here last season, converting the field in short notice a lot of times. So I don't think we'll see much of a difference this year in terms of it being better or worse. Like I said, I think it was great last year.
If I could follow up, Andrew, it's going to look prettier. I mean, just from a fan standpoint, you're not going to be able to tell when they're running over the infield dirt like you could last year when it kind of got to the brown part of the field. Is that kind of a selling point a little bit? It's going to be prettier this year.
Yeah, I think it will look different because it is, you know, the nice thing about this year is we have options. You know, if Mark wants to train Wednesday, Thursday, Friday in front of a home Saturday game, there's a pretty good chance, you know, pending any unforeseen pieces, he would be able to do that. So it's nice for him to have choices, and if they want to be at the complex, they can. If they want to be in the stadium, they can. So that's a great option that we have this year as opposed to last year, because as mentioned, we have some quick turnarounds from, you know, Sod would go in on Thursday and we'd be playing on Saturday, and that's tough for any grounds crew in the country or anywhere in the world, really. But I do think aesthetically, from the fans' perspective, it will look really good. I think crew guys a chance to grow it together and have it, you know, be one color, which is nice, and it won't be brown. We did upgrade the where we're getting the sod from. I don't know if Mark knows this, where we're getting the sod from this year. So hopefully that infield grass is a bit better, even though they did a great job last year. We're always looking to improve. So we're hopeful that it can be the best version of this field that it can be. This year is definitely, I think, is going to improve on that, no doubt.
How are you planning to work with the fans? Let's say you do get 25%. How are you going to ticket sales? How's that going to work? Season ticket holders going to have priority? How's that going to work?
Yeah, season ticket members will of course have priority. You know, we've special measures that we've put in place for them, as well as suites and those that have purchased groups or committed to groups or individual game buyers for the first couple games. Those people that committed are going to get priority. That's not to say that at least probably after game one into game two and onward, there may be an opportunity to buy individual game tickets for those fans that are wanting to come to games that don't have season ticket memberships. It's obviously not the situation that we want, but in a constrained format, we're going to do the best we can. But we do expect to have a very high show rate. If people are opting in to come to the games, I imagine they're going to actually show up. So if we can get 20 to 25%, whether that's between 1,800 and 2,500 people in the building, we think there's going to be 1,800 or 2,500 people in the building, and I think that can show, as we did show a little bit in Open Cup last year, that if they're loud and noisy, it can be impactful on the field, and the guys will definitely hear that, and it will help, even though it's not the full, you know, 7,000, 7,500 we would like to see in the building.
Andrew, to kind of follow up on the fans' perspective, the governor just released something about gatherings of 10 or more. I know when he said that last week and we talked about this, he made the exception with professional sports. He also said that, you know, it needs city or county judge, mayor, county judge approval. Just kind of what's been your conversations with the mayor here, as well as the county judge on whether or not this is going to happen and can happen, that sort of thing. Have there been conversations?
Of course, yeah, and you'll probably get tired of me saying this. I preface this all based on what is happening right now. I don't know what tomorrow brings. I don't know what next week brings. But right now, we still continue to have that exemption or exception for gatherings for sports venues. That could change. We're prepared for any scenario. We're moving forward that we're going to continue to have that exemption on Saturday, July 11th. And we're prepared for that. But we're also prepared. We know what the climate is. We see the numbers. We see the spikes, the surging. So we understand what reality actually is at this point. But to follow what has been, I believe Abbott came out with just a couple hours ago, a mask is going to be required at all times, no exceptions at our venue for staff, for, of course, guests and fans, anybody that's not the 22 guys that are on the field and the referees. Everyone's wearing a mask. When the boys come off, if you come off as a sub and you take a few minutes to cool down, you know, it's not comfortable, but we're going to have to get a mask on, and we're going to do everything we can to keep not just the players and technical staff safe, but also every guest that walks through that door. And we've put thousands of man hours into protocols and planning, and you know, Lizette Espinosa, who runs the building, and Taylor Miller, who does a lot of our soccer operations, have worked tirelessly to ensure that every player and every fan has an exceptional time and a safe time, because those two are not mutually exclusive, and they're equally important.
Just to follow up, so so you guys have exemption. Is that from the mayor, like the city of El Paso?
From what my knowledge is, that's from the governor on down, and continues to be backed up by the mayor. Again, as I sit here today, we all know that things change. So,
Thank you.
sure.
Mark, I just have one more for you. Does it all just feel a little more real right now that you got a schedule and it just, obviously July 11th has been a date that they kind of put on the schedule, but there was no opponent. Does it just feel a little more real now?
It feels as real as it can be, taking into account all the challenges we have throughout 2020 that we've been through and that we're going to go through over the next, few months, like Andrew just kind of hit on. Day-to-day changes. But, as we're playing July 11th, right? That's what we know. And that's exciting. It does feel good to get back out there on the field, but understanding that this year is far from normal in every respect on and off the field. And the idea is, and the goal is just to make the most of it. And that means, making the most of it, getting results, make the most of it, entertaining, making the most of it, enjoying it. And hopefully we get a good year in and it can propel us into 2021. I think that's a little bit of a focus as well. Keep the momentum going from last year to take us through into what would be year 3 of the franchise in 2021. The last thing we wanted was come off a good year last year and then have a down year, both from, a playing standpoint, a player's standpoint, a philosophy standpoint and how that's evolving, but also the fans and the city, the momentum that the front office picked up. And the evolution inside the stadium last year, it's going to be good for us to be able to kind of continue that a little bit. Like I said, not perfect, but we're glad we're going to get something in this year, and then that can, like I said, lead us into 2021 when hopefully, fingers crossed, things will be back to what we all consider normal.
All right, I'm going to jump in here real quick. I had a question requested from somebody who wasn't able to make it here today. Going back to the home opener, do you guys feel good about playing against RGV there in that first match, especially since the last time they came here to Southwest University Park, excuse me? It wasn't exactly an ideal result.
From my perspective, it doesn't matter who we were playing on July 11th. The first games of the season, early on in any season, it's always a little hit or miss. You saw in the Premier League games, the teams are now just starting to hit some stride. Initially, a lot of 0-0 results, a lot of surprise results, and I think that's always a part of the first game or first couple of weeks of a season, and we may see that again, around the league. Surprising results, teams trying to figure out who they are again. We hope we can hit the ground running. We hope that that's not the case here, but football's a funny game and things can happen. And RGV will do their best, and we'll hopefully try and get those 3 points and do our best to get those 3 points to kick us off to a good start.
I got one real quick for this is probably for Andrew. I know last time we talked, in order to get to full-sided practices, which you guys are at now, you guys were waiting on test results to kind of get back. Were there any positives or was everything negative and you guys are good to go at full strength?
Yeah, we're good to go at full strength, and we're testing every 2 weeks. There's what's being called a covered list, a covered persons list that the league mandates. We've got obviously all the players and technical staff and a few of us that have interactions with the team on a somewhat fairly regular basis, because we're obviously want to make sure that there's no, I would not want to be the one that gets 6 guys sick or anything like that. So we're being extra cautious and following the league's protocols. And we've got a good system with our athletic trainer as well as Texas Tech and our docs to make sure that we're doing everything correctly, safely, and getting the results without any cross-contamination or ambiguous reads. But we'll continue to do that every 2 weeks throughout the season. And as necessary, I'm not naive to think that we can't have a positive test this year. And we will certainly address that if it does happen. We're good for now. But then we'll also be testing, if someone does test positive, we'll continue to monitor that, make sure that they're okay, but we'll test more frequently to if they do become negative, to do everything we can to get them back on the field, again, in a safe way, that they're definitely negative and can rejoin the group.
My last one is for Mark. How big are you guys making it an emphasis with your players to be smart outside of training, whether it be, obviously they got to go to the grocery stores and that sort of thing, but just how much are you guys putting an emphasis that everyone just plays everything as smart as they possibly can?
Mark, you're muted. Mark, you're muted.
That's the most important part of all this. We can have all these great ideas and well-laid plans, and then somebody tests positive and everything goes out the window. Reality, we're going to test every Monday or every other Monday going forward. Test results take about 48 hours to come back. So by Wednesday, Thursday, everyone has those results back. But the last thing we want is to have first of all, the health of the players, but, the preparation we put in, then having to change it on a Thursday because of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, however many, results come back positive, and everything goes out the window. So we're really harping on every day about what they do when they leave the practice facility. Be cautious, take those precautions, only go out if you need to. But at the end of the day, these guys are adults. Everyone's going to make their own decisions. It's hard to keep people locked up inside a house. We just hope that when they do step outside and go about their daily business, that they're doing everything in their power to make sure that they remain safe and healthy. And our goal, I think I'd be really proud of this actually, is if we got through the whole year and didn't have a positive case. I think it's going to be a challenge. You saw in MLS, that those results coming out positives the last few days. It's going to be difficult, but that in many ways might be more successful year than what happens on the field if everybody comes through it completely healthy, when you look at it like that. So we really want everyone to keep those negative results coming back in every time we test. And like Andrew said, everyone came back in great health after the last one. We have another one coming up on Monday, and we hope that we can continue forward with, full squad, full amount of staff being there day in and day out.
I think we've heard this cliche before. It's not always the best team that wins a championship. It's the healthiest, and I think that couldn't be more true ever than this year for the sport that plays in 2020. So I think if we stay healthy, we've got as good a shot of anybody with the talent on the field, and there's going to be I really believe there's going to be teams that are just going to be ravaged, and it's not their fault necessarily that their season's going to be sunk because of this. And I hope to God we're not one of them. So.
Good point.
All right. And we got room for one more question if anyone wants to ask anything.
Coach, on game day, what's the final message you relay to the team? I mean, obviously, they shouldn't have any other need to be more motivated, but what's the message you will give to them?
I think the message is, let's be grateful that we're able to get back out there again, and everybody's missed it. We've missed it. The players have missed it. The fans have missed it. So let's just approach it with some gratitude that we get to go out there again. And there's always the expression, you never know when it's your last game, right? And who would have thought that Orange County, 3 months ago, would have been our last game for a while? And I think that's the approach, treat this like it could be the last game of the season, and just give it everything you've got and enjoy it and put all of your energy into it and come off the field with your head held high and do El Paso proud. That's going to be the message going into every game this season. Thanks,
perfect. Man. That's a good spot to leave it off. Thank you guys, everyone, for coming by. Thank you, Andrew and Mark, for your time.
Thanks, guys.
And I have recorded this, so I'll be sending it out to you guys as soon as it is ready. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Have a great weekend.